Hi, everybody. We have a full moon in Taurus coming up this weekend with a lunar eclipse. Yes, another eclipse. You might be feeling it already. This eclipse portal, this eclipse season, it's been quite intense to say the least. It's all for our highest good, though. We need to remember that. This full moon is happening in Taurus. Of course, this is heavily connected to our worth and values, and we are in Scorpio season. So this is relating to the depth of our soul. And with this full moon in Taurus and the lunar eclipse, of course, full moons are great for releasing. We can work with the lunar energy to release, but it also illuminates. And with a lunar eclipse as well, this could be kind of double illumination of things that we need to understand and be aware of. That might have already been shown to us further to the previous eclipse that we had with the new moon a couple of weeks ago. So take what resonates on that one. But also, and I'll pull up the charts shortly, what I've felt very drawn to when I looked at the transits of the full moon is that this is heavily connected to Vesta and also Saturn. So very much about the sacred flame energy that I've been talking about for a while, as well as our lessons that we've been learning to get us in alignment with our spiritual truth, and also the karmic situations that we've been dealing with. So it's all tied into that, in my view, in terms of my intuitive interpretation of looking at the charts. So I will pull that up shortly. But also, just to put it out there, Scorpio and Taurus are both fixed signs. So there can be this kind of rigid feeling to the energy, and not a kind of stuck feeling, but almost a sort of, right, we're in position now, and what do we need to do? So this can actually help us. Okay, it's not cardinal energy in terms of obviously kick-starting things. It's not mutable energy in terms of the flow, it's fixed. So this is about us having a fixed view of what we're trying to manifest for our reality. Of course, that's more pertinent for a new moon, but we're still wanting to manifest for our reality. And alongside that, we need to be releasing what is not serving us in order to embrace the new. And this is where the full moon comes in, because we can work with that energy to release. So if we've been made abundantly aware of what or who or, whatever it might be, needs to be released from our life for, the highest good, no longer in alignment with us, then this is all serving a purpose to allow that space to welcome in the new of what we want to manifest in our reality. As I say, it's connected to the sacred flame energy. So what it is we're striving towards in terms of what we do want to create, and where that flame is sparked within us, with whom is that flame sparked, and by doing what is that flame sparked, if that makes any sense at all. I am recovering from a bit of an illness, so I could be getting my words all jumbled up, but hopefully the message is getting across in the way it's resonating for you. Essentially what it's all about is, who are we connecting to, and what are we doing, and is that lighting the flame within? Is that sparking the flame within? Does it give us that kind of Ace of Wands feeling of, right, that's what I want to go towards, that's what I'm passionate about, that sparks the creativity within me? Okay, and by doing so, that is also allowing the Saturnian lessons, excuse me, to be learnt as well. So this karma that we're having to cleanse and clear, okay, getting us in alignment with our spiritual truth. Saturn is in Pisces, the house of the divine, okay, excuse me. And also Saturn is going to be stationing direct on the 4th of November, so not too far away. So again, the introspection of all of this, that contemplation, that inner reflection of what lessons we're having to learn, and where have we maybe not learned the lessons of the past 3 years during the period of Saturn's retrograde. Okay, so needing to look at all of that. Let's pull up the charts. Okay, first of all, I'm going to show you the full moon as an event, as I usually do, so bear with me whilst I get that one up. Okay. All right, so here we go. Full moon in Taurus, lunar eclipse. And for us in the UK, it's happening on Saturday, the 28th of October, excuse me, which is tomorrow. I'm recording this on Friday, 27th. So it's on the 28th of October at 21:24. Apply your own time zones as appropriate. And what we can see here is we've got the moon over here in Taurus, because it's a full moon in Taurus, and it's opposite the sun, okay, direct opposition to the sun in Scorpio. So that's where that fixed energy comes in with what we've got going on in Taurus and what we've got going on in Scorpio. As I mentioned, the worth and values connected to Taurus, our resources, and also the depth of the soul when it comes to Scorpio. And looking at what we've got there in Taurus alongside the moon, we've got Jupiter and we've got Uranus. So Jupiter, that massive planet of expansion and hope, is currently retrograde. So that expansive energy is going on within us. This is offering us inner growth when it comes to our worth and values. And we're understanding more about our worth and values because of these lessons that we're having to go through, because of these experiences. And we are growing more on the inside. We're expanding more on the inside as a result. That's also enabling the change that Uranus is calling for, okay? Also in Taurus. Excuse me 1 second. This might be an astrology overview where I'm having to take regular sips of water. So apologies in advance, but I wanted to make sure that I got this message out to you. So of course, yes, Taurus energy, it's fundamentally worth and values. We're understanding more of that because of what we've gone through on our healing journey, because of what we're still going through. We're evolving all the time, okay? And when we look at what's going on in Scorpio, we've got the sun there. We've also got Mercury and Mars and Ceres. Ceres also offers expansive energy, okay? We've got Mars and we've got Mercury in a conjunction. They're 1 degree apart from each other. And what was interesting that I noticed was there is a direct opposition also between Mars and Jupiter, okay? Mercury is also in the mix as well because, you know, he's only 1 degree away, but the direct opposition is between Jupiter and Mars. So when it comes to that sort of masculine drive of getting things done, there may be this kind of challenging energy, not like a square can be in astrology, but more of the push-pull energy. And if we're aware of it, we can allow it to work for us instead, okay? But wanting to get things done from the depth of our soul, because Mars is in Scorpio, those deep desires, you know, that very kind of that masculine drive of really wanting to go after what it is we want. And Jupiter also, you know, striving for that inner growth when it comes to worth and values. So there may just be a, right, hold on, hold your horses here, Mars. You know, we're still allowing that inner expansion here, and we're needing to just take stock of this when it comes to worth and values, making sure that that's in alignment with each other so it can work together harmoniously is what I would say, okay? And also it's very interesting because we've got many trines going on, and I've highlighted just a few here, but there's many more that are going on. And this is about understanding that the trines can, of course, work for us. They are harmonious aspects. Now, interestingly, there is a trine that's going from the sun across to Saturn. There is also one that's going from the south node to Saturn, but I didn't want to draw that on here as well because it would have just made it a really thick line. But there is also a trine there. So immediately when I saw that, I felt that, okay, the soul essence is understanding here the Saturnian lessons. So this is at the depth as well. And certainly with what Pluto has been calling for, you know, recognizing we've got that scorpionic energy, and our soul is understanding what we've had to take stock of, what we've had to learn as a Saturnian lesson. And it's tied into the karmic stuff, the past life stuff, perhaps patterns that have been coming up. So this feels, because it's a trine, that it's a harmonious aspect. We are cleansing this karma. So that should offer some reassurance to this journey that we've been on. And it could feel like you've been through the ringer with this. But this is all for our highest good, okay? But it's getting to the depth of the soul in order to do this. This trine with Saturn is saying, look, this is enabling you to get into alignment with your spiritual truth, to become more aligned with your spirituality, but also honoring your soul's truth as well, recognizing the patterns that might have been coming up pertaining to past life situations. So these patterns, becoming aware of them and actually shining a light on them and being a grown-up about them, and realizing, okay, this is coming up for a reason. I've got to deal with this. And incorporating that in the healing journey, which also offers that inner growth of what Jupiter is calling for, and also enables us to understand more about our worth and values. Because, you know, if we're cleansing karma, we're understanding more about our worth and values as a result of that. There is also a trine that's going from Pluto to Venus and Lilith. Okay, so that deep transformation that Pluto has been calling for, harmonious aspect across to this divine feminine energy. We've got Venus there and we've got Lilith, and we know that that's the light and shadow feminine. Lilith is a great teacher. Both of these are in Virgo, so there can be this critical aspect. Certainly when it comes to Lilith, there could be some you know, deep-rooted kind of fears or anxieties coming up, or self-critical talk when it comes to, you know, how we view ourselves in that way, and connected to our transformation journey. You know, are we sure we're evolving in the right way? And Lilith just bringing up certain kind of doubts or anxieties, whatever it might be, to teach us, you know, to help us understand if we're ready for that part of the transformation. And Venus there, reminding us about our investments, of course. We need to be critical about where we're investing our resources, because we want to receive that joy back. So the fact that Venus and Lilith are still close to each other, you know, there is that aspect of the two of them that's working together in harmony, because we need to be critical of our investments, and we need to understand where certain fears or doubts are coming up, perhaps in relation to where we want to invest, but maybe we've been too fearful to invest. But we know that that investment, whatever it might be, is going to bring us joy. So ultimately, when we understand that, it's going to enable more of that transformation. And that's where that trine is obviously, you know, coming into play. The other one that we've got here, and I mentioned about the Vesta energy, is we have got the sun in trine to Vesta. And not only that, we've got the moon in sextile to Vesta. So at the point of this full moon with lunar eclipse, you know, both the sun and the moon are making harmonious aspects in their own right to Vesta. So very much about the sacred flame energy. And what is it that sparks that flame within? What are we trying to create for our lives and in our lives? Who are we trying to create those things with? Is that where the passion lies? Is that where the creativity lies? Does it spark the sacred flame within? What is that sacred flame energy for you? Well, with these aspects here, the sun in Scorpio with the trine across, that's saying to me that by understanding our soul at the depth, we can understand what does spark that flame. Remember what I just said about Lilith? So this could be where, okay, if you know what sparks that flame or who sparks that flame, Lilith might just bring up a few shadow aspects, okay, just to, you know, ensure that we've cleansed that karma or we've released that pattern, whatever it might be. So we've got to be mindful of that also. But we've already seen how there is that trine that's going across to Pluto. So it's all helping our transformation anyway. But when we understand at the depths of our soul what that sacred flame energy is, we're also feeling that we're worthy and we're of value, because remember, the moon is in Taurus, worth and values. We're feeling that from that sacred flame energy. So that's how the two can work in harmony. Okay. Now, there is a square, and I've not drawn it on here because it would have been too messy, okay? But there is a square which is going from Pluto across to the north node and a square that's going from Pluto to the south node. So yes, it has been challenging when it comes to our transformation, certainly when it relates to the karmic situations and also where we're actually heading towards in our life, because perhaps we've only just been recognizing what that might be, what that might look like. And, you know, remember the North Node is in Aries. It's all about our sovereignty. Chiron is there. It's connected to the healing journey. We need to empower ourselves to do this. But yes, these things could be coming up. Past life things could be coming up. And that can make it challenging in terms of, well, where are we trying to head towards? We've got to clear all of this up first. But remember the trine that I mentioned, which is from the sun. Okay, and you know, this is all about the sun and Saturn in trine, and the south node and Saturn in trine. This is the positive aspects to it, that we're learning the lessons by going through this process. Okay, so it's not been in vain, is what I'm trying to say, even though it might feel like it at times. The other thing I wanted to point out is, obviously we've got the sun there in Scorpio, we've got Mercury, Mars and Ceres that I mentioned, and when you look at the sun and Mars, both of which are in direct opposition to something else across in Taurus, what's in between the sun and Mars? What's in between, you know, the soul essence, the depth of the soul essence, and us striving to do what we want to do and take the action to go forward with masculine energy? What's in the middle? Mercury. So this is about communication and the deep communication that might be needed, even if it's just with ourselves, but it could relate to other people. So where might we need to have deep conversations with other people as part of all of this, okay, to enable that action forward? That's just something that I was also drawn to, and particularly because of the opposite energy in Taurus, which is worth and values. We might need to have those conversations. As I said, it could just be with ourselves, because we need to also communicate with ourselves in terms of where we want to take action, where we need to take action on certain things. Okay. There is also a trine that is between the moon and Juno that I didn't draw on here. Okay. I didn't draw on here because I didn't want to, again, make it too messy, but you might be able to see that line with the triangle going down. So the moon is there on Jupiter, and there is that trine down to Juno. So again, you know, in terms of our feelings, when it comes to our worth and values, loving connections or partnerships may be assisting this at this time. Okay. And it could simply be an indication of that love that we hold for ourselves, or that we've realized for ourselves as part of this journey, the self-love in that way. Okay, the unconditional love in that way, and the nurturing aspect that we've had to show ourselves going through all of this, and how that's also enabling the inner growth. But it could also pertain to loving soulmate partnerships as well, of course. So, you know, there is that aspect as well to take into consideration. Okay, I'm going to bring up the other chart, and apologies that, you know, my throat is not having the best of times. Let's have a look. Okay. All right. So this chart is the UK and the full moon event. Okay. So the UK is the inner wheel, and the full moon in Taurus is the outer wheel. So I've drawn on the elements I've just spoken about. It always looks a bit more messy on this one because there's a smaller circle to play with in the middle. But you can see that most of what's going on, certainly with the sun and the moon, is in the 10th house and the 4th house for the UK. So that's the house of inner authority and the house of foundations. It can be family as well, and taking action. But certainly when we look at, you know, the south node being there, there's this heavy emphasis for me on foundations. So we want to feel like in our inner authority, we want to feel worthy and of value. Okay. And it's important to understand that. We also need to feel like we're in control of our resources in that way. But that inner growth is happening within the house of inner authority. So it's helping the sovereign healing journey as well. And, you know, within our foundations, so the depth, that's quite appropriate because we've got the depth of all of this going on at the root, if you like, and it is very much rooted at the depth of the soul. But understanding again where that action is needed, but the communication that might be required in order to establish that movement forward. The sextile that I mentioned from the moon across to Vesta, of course, 10th house to the 12th house. So, you know, that sacred flame energy could have been hidden, could have been subconscious. And now going through this eclipse season, it could have been illuminated in terms of what that sacred flame energy actually is for you. Okay, so there's that harmonious aspect in terms of the two working together, but also remember the trine with the sun. So yes, at our foundations, understanding what the soul wants and what that sacred flame energy is for us, the deepest desires, if you like, with that scorpionic energy of what it is that sparks that flame within. With Saturn is in the 8th house, which is the 8th house of power. So yes, Saturn is empowering us through these lessons. And of course, the trine to the sun and the south node in the 4th house. So yes, we're fully aware that this is deep stuff going on within our foundations when it comes to these lessons that Saturn wants us to learn. So that makes sense. You know, this is about understanding our power when it comes to these lessons, what we're learning, what we're establishing, and what we're accepting as these patterns that could be karmic, could be past life, you know, and the soul's response to that from the depths, scorpionic energy, really enabling those lessons to be learned in that sense and getting us more in alignment with our spiritual truth, but in terms of our empowerment. Okay, so not only have we got all of that going on in the house of inner authority and work, you know, this could be specific to work for some, with what's going on with worth and values and the inner growth, but certainly about inner authority and empowerment. That's quite big. It's a big theme. Sovereignty is connected to all of that as well. Okay, and that's been for a time that's been going on. We've also got between Pluto and Venus and Lilith, and they are in the 3rd house. Pluto is in the 6th house. So yes, where we're of service to people, our daily routines, where they might need to be transformed on a deep level, but also when it comes to our expression. So certainly with this feminine energy and the light and shadow side, and in terms of our investments, and where we might be being self-critical is in our expression. So we need to be kind to ourselves, okay, but we need to be real with ourselves as well, and we need to express to ourselves honestly where we are investing in areas that do not bring us that return, where, you know, they do not bring that joy, and understanding where those connections, where those activities, where those thoughts, whatever it might be, wherever we're wanting to invest our resources, time, energy, money, love, attention, that could bring us joy and we're too fearful, it's understanding the Lilith shadow aspects of why that might be fearful for us, because that's assisting our transformation journey. And we're becoming stronger as a result once we can understand why that's coming up for us, and at the same time possibly even healing some of that karma that I spoke about, because it could be past life connected, especially if there's other people involved in the mix as well. Take that if it resonates. Okay, and the square, of course, I referred to. North node is in the 10th house of inner authority, Pluto 6th house, and of course the 4th house is where the south node is. So yeah, the challenge when it comes to, you know, the transformation, maybe how our daily routines need to change in order to push us forward into more of our authority when it comes to our work, or when it comes to just our expression of self relating to our purpose, and also how our foundations are needing to kind of change because we're wanting to build a fair foundation, but we need to understand what's not been fair in order to release that. Okay, and that's where these patterns might be coming up for cleansing, for purging, etc. Okay, so that's just a bit of a kind of whistle stop tour, because I didn't want it to be too long really, but I wanted to make sure I got on here to deliver that message. Essentially, for me, this is all about the sacred flame energy and the Saturnian lessons. This is what this full moon is all about when it comes to worth and values and the depth of the soul. Remember, it's fixed energy, okay, locked into position. What have we got to change here? What do we need to release? And what do we need to accept that might be illuminated to us further to enable change? This is kind of forcing the change that's needed. This is what the eclipse portal is potentially doing for many of us. But many of us going through this possibly recognize and understand that change is needed because we can feel it. We can feel it deeply within the foundations. Okay, so take that if it resonates. Okay, let me stop sharing. I am going to just pull a few cards. I've only got Oracle. I'm not going to dive into tarot. Okay, not on this occasion. But first of all, Star Codes Astro. Okay, let's just see if there's any additional messages from the Star Codes Astro. Okay, for the full moon, what do we need to know, please? 11th house community. Okay, that's very much about connections with others, you see. Opposition, confrontation. Okay. And Chiron in reverse. So this is all connected to the healing journey. Okay. This is very much connected to the healing journey of where we're connecting with others. Okay. And where there may have been oppositions. Again, think of that Venus energy. This is butting heads, you know what I mean? So we don't want to be butting heads with people. This is about releasing that kind of energy. We want to establish more of that kindred spirit type energy, and that's what's enabling us to heal. But there could be some resistance to that, especially if it involves releasing certain aspects around connections. Let's go for the Queen of the Moon, seeing as it's full moon. And she is sovereign. Loving that. Expect the unexpected. This could sum up the eclipse portal for you. Just this one card. And it could be unexpected change, but change that's needed. Wow. Okay. So we've got, oh, okay, that one wants to fall out of my hands. Purity, but that came out in reverse. Okay, so this is about that sort of divinity. Remember I said about the Saturnian lessons of getting us in alignment with our spiritual truth. Is there some resistance to that? Because we need to accept the truth. And we have self-reflection. So yeah, needing to actually look at our situation, needing to understand. And certainly what's just coming to me now is, you know, our external reality is a reflection of our inner condition. So where we saw heal in reverse, if we're not fully healed, we might just be experiencing similar situations in order to get us in alignment with our spiritual truth, because we need to learn those lessons, and we need to understand those reflections. Okay, it could actually be as well that someone else you're connected to is reflecting back to you what you need to know, what you need to see. So they are a mirror, that soulmate energy. Okay, because soulmates are mirrors. Okay, so it could be that as well. Okay, Moonology. The original deck. Have faith in your dreams. Okay. That's interesting. It says a win-win outcome is forecast. Now it's in reverse. And I don't want you to be thinking, oh, it's in reverse. That means a win-win outcome is not forecast. Doesn't mean that at all. This is understanding what is a win-win outcome for you? Because you're in charge of your reality. What we have here, adjustments are required. So understanding, in order to get that balance, because that's Libra energy, and we've just been in Libra season, in order to get that balance and reciprocity, adjustments are required. That could be boundaries need to be put in place. Okay, that could be the change that's needed in accordance with worth and values, and releasing anything that's not serving you. Okay, that's working with the lunar energy to do that as well. But adjustments are required, okay, on your journey. On the bottom, I was drawn to looking at that. The energy is gaining momentum. Boy, do we know that. Yes. We certainly do. We certainly do. Yeah, it's been a time, and you know, I'm going through my own healing journey and all of that. So, you know, I fully understand, because I'm part of the collective too. You know, I'm not immune to this by any means. And we've all got our own lessons. We've all got our own karma to deal with and stuff. So what I would say to you is have faith in your dreams, because that came out, of course. Look at where adjustments may be required. If it's simply to do with boundaries needing to be put in place, okay, certainly in your connections with others, because that might be something that can be easily addressed as part of the worth and values as well. Understanding what it is from the depths of the soul that brings that sacred flame energy. And also, you know, think of the Venus energy. Always have that in your mind as well. Where are you investing, or who are you investing in when it comes to your resources? And does that thing, that activity, that person bring you the joy? Does it make your heart happy? Does it bring you that Venus energy? It's understanding that, because that's part of the kind of jigsaw puzzle, if you like, when it comes to the Vesta energy, the sacred flame. Because often, you know, what sparks that flame within is connected to those aspects of what we invest in that bring us joy, because of course that's why we do it, because it brings us joy and it sparks that flame within. So those are connected. And also understanding that this is all part of the process to get us in alignment with our spiritual truth, learning the Saturnian lessons, but understanding if patterns are coming up, patterns of negative thoughts, self-doubt, certain behaviors, etc., or certain experiences that are similar. It could simply be a karmic situation coming up that needs to be accepted, acknowledged, processed, cleansed, healed, whatever it might be. Okay, it could be giving insight into a past life situation that needs to be healed. Okay, I know it's going deep, but it's going to resonate for a few of you out there. And understanding what it is in order to cleanse that, to move forward and to ascend accordingly through this process. And of course, through through the full moon with the lunar eclipse. Remember, it's a full moon in Taurus. We're in Scorpio season, the depth of the soul. This is deep stuff that can be uncomfortable, but it's where our deep desires are. It's where, you know, this is what we really want to do, but it's often reaching to those places that are quite uncomfortable to get to understand. But also with the Taurus energy, how does that align with our worth and values? Okay, we need to feel worthy of what we're doing. We need to feel worthy of what and who we're investing in, okay, to bring that value to ourselves first and foremost, okay, and to understand that our investments, everything, that's all tied up within all of this. We want to feel joy. We want to feel that Venus energy in the heart space. We need to understand what brings us that Venus energy in the heart space. Okay, and changing and releasing anything that doesn't bring us joy. Okay, doesn't even have to be fully releasing, but accepting and acknowledging what doesn't bring you joy is part of it. It's like a stepping stone approach, because we can understand what doesn't bring us joy, and we could be kind of walking around with a metaphorical blindfold on, not accepting the truth of it, which could actually be just drawn to that. You know, look at that, actually, you know, she's got her eyes covered there, but it could simply be, and I think of the Two of Swords. I know I haven't got tarot with me, but that's a metaphorical blindfold and a choice that needs to be made, but one that you already know. But often it's accepting that choice, the one that you know to be true. So I hope that makes sense. Okay. And I'll see you again on the next report, but take care and happy full moon blessings with the lunar eclipse.